It's my reoccurring theme that the banks are in trouble, and he says there's going to be increased bank failure.
I believe this bubble is bigger than anything we've ever faced before.
Foreclosures have left the country in the worst housing downturn since World War II.
And frankly, it's not just an American problem, it's an international problem.
This is probably the toughest time that people of our generation have seen.
It's January 2009. The U.S. economy is in a freefall. Every day's news is filled with bleak reports about the housing crisis, federal bailouts, the plunging stock market, and the implosion of entire industries. Talk of a recession has become talk of
inflationary depression is coming down the road.
Suddenly, the reality is you could lose your job at any minute. The last thing you're going to do at a time like this is buy a new car. This was the market we faced when Hyundai asked us to create a campaign that could do what seemed impossible at the time. Sell vehicles during the worst economic recession in over 25 years. Turns out the key to finding the solution was to stop looking at the global economic crisis from the perspective of the car manufacturer and actually see it through the eyes of the consumer. This made it clear that no amount of cashback, employee pricing, or special APR financing could outweigh the onslaught of grim economic news people were facing. This was more than a down market. This was a crisis in confidence. What people needed most, in a word, was assurance. But how could a Korean car company give the American people back their faith in the future? For starters, we had to be completely honest. Hyundai Assurance would be the first wave of corporate messaging that took into account the harsh reality of the global economic crisis. Second, we had to show our faith in the future. This required action, not just words. People were afraid of losing their jobs, their homes, and if they bought a car in such uncertain times, of ruining their credit. So Hyundai took the unprecedented step of shouldering that financial risk. Not some of the risk, all of it.
In times like these, buying a new car is a big commitment for most people. So what about the company selling it to you? How committed are they? Introducing the Hyundai Assurance. Now finance or lease any new Hyundai, and if you lose your income in the next year, return it to us with no impact on your credit. A car company that stands behind its customers. Maybe commitment isn't so scary after all.
The Assurance program promised that if you buy a Hyundai and then lose your job, you can give the car back. No questions asked, no harm to your credit. Television, print, radio, and online worked together to spread the message. The response was nothing short of phenomenal.
Now to news on the economy tonight. No let-up in the bad news for automakers after one of the worst years ever. Last year, we learned sales plunged again in January. Chrysler was down a stunning 55%. GM down 49%. Ford, Toyota also reporting big drops from the year before. One bright spot here, Hyundai's ad campaign that's been airing frequently, offering to take your car back if you lose your job. That seems to have worked with a lot of buyers. Their sales were up 14%.
Hyundai making a big splash during Super Bowl 43.
Assurance resulted in 350 news reports after its launch, generating 100 million PR impressions.
Hyundai's web traffic up 20% since the promotion was started.
Hyundai saw the most online buzz in its history.
So don't think that this is just another gimmick out there. Hyundai is making some noise with this promotion.
And finally, in case there was any doubt of its impact, others began to follow suit.
Hyundai did it first. Now GM and Ford are offering new buyer protection plans in case you lose your jobs.
Some even calling on the federal government itself to adopt our approach. A year ago, we asked America a question. A year later, we got an answer.